Hey guys, it's Lotus, and welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to continue on with our read-along of Urha. Let's jump right into it. Chapter 76. This venerable one meets that guy again. Chuaning had never been a kindly teacher type, and Moran wasn't a 5-year-old at his first lesson either. A hammy question like that didn't even warrant a response, so Chuaning, lashes lowered, ignored it. The high-tongued flower that he had sent off with a speed-boosting wind spell quickly scouted through the entire Peach Blossom Springs. Mere moments later, a golden amulet drifted down from the sky into his hand. The Ancestral Abyss? The Ancestral Abyss was where they went every day to pluck feathers from the angry owls that dwelled there. The Feathered Tribe people had said before that the bottom of the abyss was filled with roaring flames, and that anyone, other than the angry owls that had lived there since ancient times, to slip and fall in there would get melted until there was nothing left. Chuaning set a concealment barrier on both of them to avoid detection by the Feathered Tribe. They arrived at the Ancestral Abyss and looked down. There was an eerie red light and no bottom to be seen, with thousands of owls perched along the walls of the steep cliffs, currently slumbering with their heads tucked into their wings, packed so densely that they looked like countless dots on the cliffside from this distance. According to Chuaning's conjecture, if the Zhenlong chest formation was indeed set up within the abyss, then all this about fierce flames and getting burnt until not even ashes were left should all be just made up. But how can we be sure that the fire down there isn't actually dangerous? Moran stared at the eerie light down below, murmuring, "Looks real enough to me." Throw something in first. "I'll go grab a rabbit then." No need. Wow, Moran was gonna throw a poor rabbit to test if the flames were real? Dang. Chuaning leapt up with a flutter of his pristine robes and disappeared into the forest of peach trees nearby. Then, a moment later, he fluttered back like an immortal exiled from the 9th heaven, and a branch of peach blossoms in hand. Moran understood. Peach blossoms were even more fragile than rabbits, so if the peach blossoms could handle the supposed fierce flames, then it would obviously pose no danger to people. Chuaning ran a finger lightly down the branch as he mouthed the spell, covering it with a soft layer of translucent blue light. He pointed toward the abyss and said, "Go on." The peach blossom floated gently down. 1 foot, 2 feet, 10 feet, 100 feet. The branch was too far away to see now, but Chuaning could still sense the condition of the flowers from the spell he had cast. He waited with eyes closed for a while before opening them. "The flowers are fine. Let's go." Since Chuaning was this certain, there was no need to say anything else, so Moran immediately leapt into the Ancestral Abyss alongside him. Both of them were proficient in the martial arts, and nimbly arrived at the bottom with ease. But when he saw the scene down there, even though he was already mentally prepared, Moran still felt a shiver run down his spine. He knew what that eerie red light was now. Thousands of crosses stood at the bottom of the abyss, with a member of the Feathered Tribe tied to each one, completely naked and drenched in blood. There was a lychee fruit stuffed into each of their mouths, the fruit emitting a piercing red light. From above, the collective light of these thousands of fruits easily looked like flames burning deep in the abyss. Chuaning's face looked terrible. He was well learned, so of course he knew that this red-colored fruit was a forbidden fruit that made everyone in the cultivation world go pale at the very mention of it. Putting this fruit into the mouth of a person on the verge of death would extend their last moment into 365 days. In other words, that person would be denied their release and forced to suffer an excruciatingly slow death instead, extending the instant cessation of the heart into ceaseless torment, thus termed lychee. Staring at the throngs of Feathered Tribe living dead, dense as a forest, Moran murmured, "Soul-locking array." Using the still living as human pillars, resentful energy could be confined therein and prevented from leaking out, even with thousands of souls trapped within a Zhenlong chest formation. No wonder he couldn't sense the slightest bit of resentful energy indicating the presence of a Zhenlong chest formation. Moran couldn't help but shudder as he wondered if the fake Gochen from Jincheng Lake truly was the person behind the scenes here at the Peach Blossom Springs. Based on what happened at Jincheng Lake, It seemed that the fake Gochen only knew the bare basics of Zhenlong chess formation, just enough to control the creatures of the lake. But this time, all of the fake feathered tribe folks out there in the Peach Blossom Springs, other than being a bit dumb and emotionally stunted, were practically indiscernible from the original, even being capable of using the unique magics of the feathered tribe. It was clear that the grasp of the forbidden technique this time was at least comfortably adept. Could the fake Gochen truly have become this proficient this quickly? Chuaning walked into the center of the soul-locking array, where there stood a crystal pillar. There was a feathered tribe person tied to the crystal pillar as well, only this one was dead, the lingqi fruit in her mouth long since withered, her body in the beginning stages of decomposition. But her identity was clear enough from the yellow robes she wore, embroidered in golden thread with a phoenix, and the star-shaped mark between her brows. This is... Moran startled. This is the Elder Immortal! Correct. Chuaning looked at the forest of human pillars, stretching out as far as the eye could see, and said quietly, so many of the feathered tribe were captured for use in the soul-locking array. At least 800, if not 1,000. The Elder Immortal definitely wouldn't have tolerated this were she still alive. I thought it was odd earlier, when I exchanged blows with that Elder Immortal on the outside, that she didn't even seem to be as strong as the ghost mistress of Kaidia Town. If I'm not wrong, it seems that the feathered tribe of Peach Blossom Springs has already been wiped out. All those outside right now are merely walking corpses under the control of Zhenlong chess formation. Sure enough, Chuaning had come to the same conclusions as himself. Moran turned to leave as soon as he recovered from his shock, but Chuaning blocked his path with a wave of his sleeve. Where are you going? I have to go tell Uncle and the others. If this is the case, then it's far too dangerous here. Don't be too hasty. Chuaning shook his head. Right now, we're out in the open, but the enemy is hidden in the shadows. There are many cultivators at the Peach Blossom Springs, and we don't know who's the one pulling the strings. Acting rashly might make things worse. Heh. Long time no see. Chu Zhongshi is still so cautious. A small giggle came from above, but the sound was no different from that of thunder striking the depths of the ancestral abyss. Both of their heads snapped up as blood drained from their faces, only to see a mangled child of the feathered tribe sitting on a branch, sticking out from the cliffside, kicking his legs. The dead child tilted his head, a pair of eyeballs soaked in bloody tears rolling around in their sockets, and grinned brightly at them. Moran. Zhenlong chess formation! Chuaning cursed under his breath. Another white chess piece. Okay, so I made the voice too deep before. Okay. That's right, another white chess piece. The child clapped gleefully, terrifyingly. What, did you think I would come here personally? I'm not that dumb. Moran. So you are the fake Gochen from Jincheng Lake. What do you want, you madman? Who do you think you are? Some no-name sproutling? You aren't even fit to speak to me. Tell your master to do the asking himself. You? Chuaning's slender fingers came out from his wide sleeve with a sweep to hold down a Moran who was so pissed off there was practically smoke rising from his head. Looking up with a lifting of his eyelashes, he asked coldly, "What are you trying to accomplish?" The child continued to kick his legs. He was clearly already dead, but under the control of the forbidden technique, he moved non-stop, making all kinds of gestures like a puppet on a string. Oh, nothing much, really. Chuaning's voice dropped several degrees in temperature. Then why do you keep coming after my disciple? My plan is nothing too important, but I just so happen to need your little disciple's spiritual core for it, the child said, beaming. He can only blame himself for having such a fine core. It's even better than yours by far. I already noticed back at Jincheng Lake that he's a superb wood elemental spiritual essence. If not for that, I might be more interested in you instead, Chu Zhongshi. Moran was about to gag at the way he spoke in a child's voice, but all greasily and with such an adult tone. He snapped, "If I'm ever so goddamn unlucky as to get caught by you, I'll immediately self-destruct my effing core, so don't even think about touching me." It's not that I want to touch you, the child continued to speak in that infuriating, honey-sweet tone. I'm only chasing you after 'cause I have to. All men love beauties. Your Shizun is much prettier than you. I'd rather touch him. You? Moran bristled, Some ugly thing like you, hiding behind white chess pieces all day long, too afraid to even show your ugly mug. Think you have any right to touch my Shizun? The child rolled his eyes at him, as if tired of acknowledging his existence, and turned back to Chuaning.
Chu Zhongshi, back at Jincheng Lake, I already advised you to leave things alone, but you just wouldn't listen. I'm so hurt.
Since this matter has come to my attention, even if you stop coming after Moran now, I still intend to get to the bottom of things.
I knew you'd say that.
The child was quiet for a moment, then grinned again.
Why are you righteous Zhongshi types all so stubborn? Fine. Since Chu Zhongshi won't leave enough alone, we'll just have to wait and see then. I wanted to see which is stronger anyway. Your Tianwen or my forbidden techniques?
Chuaning's brows furrowed as he said darkly, Must you slaughter so many innocents for your ends?
The people of the world are all like the oranges from Huainan.
What do you mean?
Sour.
The child started giggling.
Super sour. All these worthless people are sour. I hate them. I want to crush them. Step on them.
Moran, ... Chuaning's voice was filled with killing aura. You are truly irredeemable.
Zhongshe seems me irredeemable, but I think Zhongshe is just as incorrigible. Our justice differs to start with. Why sweat the details?
The child tilted his head to and fro.
Just think of our little spat as a game of chess. You won the match last time at Jincheng Lake, and as for this one here at the Peach Blossom Springs, since Zhongshe has already found the ancestral abyss and seen my white chess piece, and I've run out of tricks to acquire your little disciple, let's just say you won this one too.
He paused, then squinted his eyes in a smile, but only squeezed out more blood in so doing.
But you better watch out. You may have protected him this time, but I wonder if you can protect him his whole life. ... As for the secret down here, I suggest you keep it to yourselves,
the child said, holding a red and gold feather between his fingers. Moran noted with alarm. The golden feathers used as currency in the Peach Blossom Springs?
That's right, he smiled. These feathers have circulated everywhere by now. If the two of you keep quiet and leave by yourselves, then nothing will happen. But if you don't behave and try to reveal me... These feathers are imbued with the resentful energy of the feather tribe. They won't kill those cultivators, but they can dissipate the better part of their cultivation.
Moran said with anger in his voice, You planned this from the start?
Well, of course, the child said incredulous. Did you think everyone was a dumb brute like you?
Moran, ... He was so pissed off. He'll admit that he was rather straightforward when doing things, and that he didn't know much about schemes and strategies. But to get so overtly called out by this little bastard, he really wanted to summon Jiangui and give him teach him what it means to be a real dumb brute.
Chu Zhongshi, I'm sure you know what's best for everyone involved. Even if they learn the truth, with their cultivation greatly damaged, I'm afraid they won't thank your righteousness.
Chuaning replied coldly, and I'm sure you've already heard earlier when you were eavesdropping. I wasn't planning to alarm them to begin with for the time being.
For the time being? So Zhongshe was planning to say it later then. But there's no point to that either.
The child beamed as he spoke.
Once these people leave, I'll destroy the Peach Blossom Springs just like I did Jincheng Lake. Good luck getting everyone to believe you with no evidence.
Chuaning's gaze was icy. I'm impressed that you had the nerve to call Moran a dumb brute when you conduct yourself thus. The child didn't mind Chuaning's derision in the least. He got up and twirled in place a couple times. Then a flame suddenly flared to life at his feet and slowly burned through his flesh and bones.
Why don't you save that for when you catch me? Chu Zhongshi, out of respect for your character, I'll remind you one last time. Stay out of this. If you still refuse to listen, then we will certainly meet again.
The flames roared into the sky in an explosion. The feathered tribe child, used as a puppet, was burnt into nothingness. A translucent white chess piece fell from the sky, twirled a couple times on the ground, and stilled. There was nothing but silence for a while. ... Moran knew that person wasn't just spouting empty threats, but he also didn't want to just take it sitting down, so he asked, Shizun, are we really just going to leave like this? Do you have any other ideas? Best not to take any chances for now. Let's leave the Peach Blossom Springs first. Chuanning's expression was dark as well. Since that person went to the trouble of putting down a soul locking array to prevent others from noticing his use of the Zhenlong chess formation, that means he still wants to keep things under wraps. At least for now. I will send word to the sect leader to take Xuemeng and Shimei and leave as soon as possible, without alarming the enemy. As for you... Chuanning paused, then continued. He was after you both times. This time around, he planned to frame you with the hopes of isolating you from help. I don't have to do anything further in this matter. Oh, you don't have to do anything further in this matter. The sect leader can step in and take care of it. What should I do then? Moran asked. It wouldn't be right to make others take care of my mess while I sit on my hands and do nothing. What are you trying to prove at this juncture? It's obvious what that person is after. The holy tree at Jincheng Lake fell, so he's been looking for a replacement. You are a wood elemental spiritual essence, suitable for his purposes. But if he can't get to you, then he'll go for the next best thing, and look for something else as substitute. Chuanning paused before continuing, and once he finds that something, it will only be another massacre. He must be stopped. That's not wrong, but Shizun, it's not like spiritual essences are all that easy to find. If he wants to find a substitute, he'll have to... Moran suddenly stopped talking and lifted his head, staring at Chuanning for a while before continuing. If that little bastard wants to find other spiritual essences, he'll have to check sect by sect, but cultivators don't release their spiritual foundation without cause. The foundation is only let out when choosing a new weapon or refinement crystal in order to check for compatibility. So the simplest way to test for the essence is to sell weapons and refinement crystals. Which means, if we just keep watch on the weapon markets near the sects in the coming days, we'll have a pretty good chance of sniffing that bastard out. After saying all that, he noticed Chuanning looking at him thoughtfully, and couldn't help second-guessing himself. I guess? It's a good guess, Chuanning said slowly, but then, a moment later, felt like he knew a little too much and narrowed his eyes in suspicion. Moran, is there something you're not telling me? What? What would I even have to hide from Shizun? Moran said, but the hairs on his back were standing on end, and he felt as if Chuanning's eyes, clear as glass, were staring right through this reborn body of his, directly at the soul cowering within. A moment passed in silence, and Chuanning thankfully didn't press the subject. Lowering his eyelashes, he said, Starting now, you will go with me to covertly investigate the major sects. We will not be returning to Xisheng Peak for the time being. End of chapter 76. Yes. So, that was very interesting. Let me just read the author's notes. Author's notes. Peach Blossom Springs boss.
I'm someone who looks at appearances. Your Shizun looks better than you, so my attitude towards him is nicer.
Moran. MMP. Didn't the author say I'm the best looking? Meatbun. Yes, but firstly, you're still physically a youth and haven't grown into your looks. Secondly, the boss may be a straight dude, but if he were gay, his nature is similar to yours. Do you think he'll find your type more appealing, or Shizun's type more appealing? Moran. Is there no boss who's full of bottom energy? Meatbun. There is. Meatbun, turning her head. Xuemeng, your cousin's inviting you to be the boss. Up next, Shizun's and Dog's main plotline is going to begin. There are no knives for the moment, but be careful regardless when you see flashbacks. Whenever there are flashbacks, there are only two possibilities. 1. Flying daggers. 2. Street racing, aka smut. I won't put any more warnings for the 0.5 timeline. Once you see that timeline, just be mentally prepared for these two things. Thank you, Meatbun, for the warning. Okay, so to recap chapter 76, Moran and Chuanning head over to the waterfall where the owls tend to congregate because they believe that the Zhenlong chess formation might be located there, and as they suspected, it is. They jump down into the abyss, and ancestral abyss, and find that all of the Feathered Tribe folk are actually all dead. All of the people they've been interacting at this tribe have actually been corpses. The real bodies are down in the abyss, having been chained up and being used as human pillars. Their energy is being sucked up and used as puppets. So that means that this person, the person who supposedly was also the culprit behind Jincheng Lake, they have gotten extremely more powerful since the last time they saw him, the culprit. They also get a chance encounter with the culprit, and we find out why the culprit is so bent on framing Moran. It's because Moran has a wood spiritual essence, which the bad guy needs for whatever his evil plot is. And so now Moran's in danger, and anyone close to him might be in danger. So Moran and Shizun have to investigate and try to find out who this culprit might be targeting next. This person wants a wood elemental, so they have to check the market and see who is interested in buying wood elemental spiritual weapons. Yeah, so Moran and Shizun going on a covert operation. And as Meatbun said in the author's note, we won't have any more sad moments or knives in terms of them going on their little covert operation. So that's good to know. But if we do encounter some 0.5 timeline flashbacks, then be prepared, be mentally prepared. Okay, let's continue on with chapter 77. Chapter 77, this venerable one feels very awkward. Chuaning and Moran left the Peach Blossom Springs and went all over the place looking for information on when the markets open at the various sects. After several days of hasty travels, they finally decided to stay a night at a small town inn. They hardly got any rest since leaving the Peach Blossom Springs, so Moran had already retired to his own room a while ago. Sitting at the table, Chuaning lit the candle and contemplated the porcelain bottle in his hand under its warm yellow light. Inside the white jade porcelain bottle were 30-some golden-colored pills. It was fortunate that Xuanji had brought this bottle with him when he came. If not for that, he really didn't know what identity he would have had to assume with Moran. This is a new medicine from Tanlang. There's about 30 in here, Xuanji had told Chuaning back at the cave. He did some research in the ancient archives and changed some ingredients, so one pill will allow you to regain your normal form for 7 days. Here, these will last you a while. Send Tanlang my thanks. There's no need for thanks, Xuanji smiled with a wave of his hand. Tanlang puts on a stern face, but he's the most curious about your condition. Oh, right. He also said to let you know that this medicine isn't too stable, and intense emotions might cause it to lose its effectiveness, so be careful about that. Chuaning was caught up in his thoughts about what Xuanji had said when he heard knocks from the door. He quickly took the porcelain bottle away and extinguished the incense in the burner before saying, "Come in." Moran, having just gotten out from the bath, walked into Chuaning's room wearing only a thin bathrobe while wiping his long hair that was dark as black jade. ... Chuaning cleared his throat, thankful that his face remained neutral. What is it? My room is no good. I don't like it. Shizun, can I sleep on your floor tonight? Wow, Moran is being really forward. He came in with a translucent bathrobe, probably showing off his collarbones. Is he trying to tempt Shizun? Moran, I see what you're trying to do. My room... Oh, Moran was being so vague, and Chuaning wasn't that gullible, so of course he sensed that something was up. What don't you like about it? It's just no good. He snuck a glance at Chuaning, mumbling, "The sound insulation is terrible." Chuaning furrowed his brows, too noble and chaste by nature to catch his meaning. He pulled on his outer robe without another word and walked barefoot over to Moran's room. Moran couldn't stop him even if he tried, and could only follow after. It's just a little bear, but not so much as to be intolerable. Chuaning stood in the room and looked around, a note of scolding in his voice. When did you get so spoiled? Just then, a burst of crashing sounds came from the room next door, like something heavy falling to the floor. Moran really couldn't bear to listen to it anymore, so before things got even worse, he reached out and tugged the corner of Chuaning's sleeve, pleading, "Shizun, let's leave already." Chuaning's brows furrowed. Really? What's the matter with you? Just what do you find so objectionable? Moran opened his mouth, but before he could get his words together, Kotish? I don't know how to pronounce that word. Kotish? Giggles drifted over from across the wall.
Changgengzi is so naughty, always bullying me. No, wait,
Heh, babe, this peony at your chest is so pretty. Let me take a whiff, see if it smells nice, too. The walls were so thin that even the rustling of clothes on the other side could be heard. the rough pants of the man and the sweet moans of the woman mingling together into something truly harrowing to hear. Chuaning actually didn't understand what was happening at first. It wasn't until a few moments later that he suddenly put two and two together, pretty eyes flying wide open while the color of his face changed rapidly from white to red to blue, and then finally settled on ashen as he cursed, "Shameless!" and stormed angrily out of the room with a sweep of his sleeve. Puh! Moran failed to hold it in and started laughing quietly from behind. Luckily, Chuaning was so flustered that even his arms were swinging out of sync as he walked stiffly away, and so didn't notice Moran laughing at him. Only after getting back to his room and downing a whole cup of tea did he finally regain some semblance of composure. He nodded toward Moran. "Such obscene speech is indeed detrimental to cultivation. You may stay here tonight." Oh. Truth be told, Moran was beside himself with shock and happiness in equal measure when Chuaning suddenly appeared at the Peach Blossom Springs and did everything to protect him without doubting him in the slightest. And now that things had calmed down, he couldn't help feeling all giddy. Right now, under the candlelight, Shizun's habitually impassive face somehow seemed a lot cuter. Sitting cross-legged on the floor with his chin propped up, Moran's eyes curved into a smile as he stared at Chuaning. "What are you looking at?" "I haven't seen Shizun for so long. Just want to take an extra look." Voice full of smiles, gaze warm and bright. Now that he's looking, Chuaning really does look quite like Sha Shidi. Chuaning glared at him. "Instead of looking at me, go wipe your hair dry instead. How are you going to sleep with it dripping like that?" I forgot the towel in my room," Moran grinned. "Shizun, do it for me?" ... There was a period of time before when Shuemon got injured and couldn't lift his arm, and every time he washed his hair, Shizun would always wipe it dry for him. He always did it very quickly by regulating his spiritual energy to warm the towel and evaporate the water. Chuaning looked at Moran and his perfectly functional limbs, then humped coldly. "You're neither sick nor injured. Why would I do it for you?" But still waved him over. Shizun is weak towards Moran, of course. The candle cast its warm light on Moran's incomparably handsome face. Almost a year had already gone by since his rebirth, and he was just at that age when growth spurts happened. Without even really noticing it, he had gotten quite a bit taller than these past few months. Right now, sitting on the bed, he was nearly the same height as Chuaning. This kind of height made it a little difficult for Chuaning to wipe his hair, so Moran leaned back on his arms and shifted his body lower. Standing at the side of the bed, Chuaning wiped at his long hair with an exasperated expression. Moran yawned contentedly, closing his eyes to enjoy this rare moment of peace. Outside the window, a frog croaked now and again. "Shizun." "Did you know? The Feathered Tribe's illusion sent me back to Linnan 200 years ago, and I met someone called Chu Shun." The wiping movement didn't even pause. "How would I know that?" Moran rubbed his nose with a grin. "He looked just like you." "There's plenty of similar-looking people out there. Nothing strange about that." "No, really," Moran said, all serious. "He was practically made from the same mold as you. Shizun, do you think he might be your ancestor?" Chuaning replied mildly. "It's possible, but something from 200 years ago, who can say?" "He had a son," Moran continued, "who looked just like Sha Shidi. I feel like all of this is a bit too much to be just a coincidence. Shizun, maybe Sha Shidi is a lost relative of yours?" "I don't have any relatives." "That's why I said lost," Moran mumbled. He was so close to Chuaning that he could smell the light, soothing scent of haitang. It smelled so good. No matter which lifetime, Chuaning's scent always seemed to calm him down. In the past life, whenever he returned from a bloodbath, he always had to bury his face into the crook of Shizun's neck just to breathe again. Whether he wants to admit it or not, he was already hopelessly addicted to Chuaning's scent. He closed his eyes and slowly relaxed into the familiar peace, mind drifting in the flow of time. Last lifetime, returning to the empty Wushan Palace after another slaughter, soaked head to toe in rain, he had clearly committed so many sins, but was nothing more than a drenched stray with no home to speak of. At that time, he would sit and wrap his arms around Chuaning's waist, bury his face against his abdomen, have him stroke his hair over and over again. It was the only way to calm the madness inside. Those bygone dreams were already things of the past, of another life. But with his eyes closed like this, They seemed only like yesterday. Noticing that the chattery guy had stopped talking, Chuaning lowered his lashes and glanced down at him. In the dim light of the candle, his face was relaxed, at peace. Although his face still had a touch of the soft tenderness of youth, his features had already matured into striking definition, like natural handsomeness blooming through a haze, but still carrying that deadly freshness and vitality of the young. Chuaning's hand wavered for a split second, and his heart seemed to beat a little faster. He had no idea what compelled him to call out in a soft voice. Moran. Moran absent-mindedly mumbled a reply, and then, as if exhausted, leaned closer and pressed his face against Chuaning's waist like he used to do in the past life. Chuaning, ... Thump, thump, thump. His heartbeat was rapid in his chest like war drums on a battlefield, the reverberations making him dizzy. Chuaning pressed his lips together, not knowing what else to do. He could only continue to wipe at Moran's hair, steaming away the last droplets of water. A long while passed like this, then he set the towel down, brushed aside some stray strands of hair from Moran's forehead in passing, and said in a low voice, "All done. You can go sleep now." Moran opened his eyes, black with a tinge of purple and still a bit dazed, only gradually becoming clearer after a few moments. Finally breaking out of his daze and noticing that he had gone so far as to give in to habit and lean into Chuaning's waist, and, even more unexpectedly, that he actually hadn't been shoved off, Moran was startled to say the least, his eyes opening wide in dumbfounded astonishment, looking just like a dumb dog. Chuaning originally still felt a bit uneasy, but he couldn't help smiling at that look on Moran's face. Moran saw that he was actually smiling. However lightly, it was definitely a smile, and his eyes became even rounder. He sat up straight, hair a bit of a mess, and suddenly said very seriously, "Shizun, there's a scent on you. It smells really nice." ... He paused, then suddenly furrowed his brows, as if trying hard to remember something. Consternation crept into his expression when he managed to remember it, and he mumbled, "Huh? That's strange. Doesn't Sha Shidi also smell like this?" Chuaning's expression went rigid immediately. He flung the towel onto Moran's head before he could react, and physically tossed him off the bed, saying in a cold voice, "I'm tired now. Get the hell off and go to sleep." Oh no. Oh, they were having such a soft moment, but Chuaning was worried that his cover would be blown, so he ended up being prickly toward Moran again. Moran landed stupidly on his back, caught completely off guard. He lay on the floor in a daze for quite a while before sitting up and rubbing his nose, not mad at all, and then obediently got up to make his bed on the floor. Author's notes, mini theater. Tianwen, what will happen if Shuemeng sleeps in the same room as his owner? Meatbun, Shuemeng cannot possibly fall asleep. He will be angsty for the whole night, waiting to greet your owner in the morning. Tianwen, what will happen if Shumei sleeps in the same room as my owner? Meatbun, Moran will wreck the inn. Tianwen, what will happen if 1.0 Moran sleeps in the same room as my owner? Meatbun, as the text says. Tianwen, what will happen if 0.5 Moran sleeps in the same room as my owner? Meatbun, do you still need to ask that kind of question? Your owner sleeps on the bed. Moran sleeps on your owner. Tianwen, what will happen if 2.0 Moran sleeps in the same room as my owner? Meatbun, puh, don't think you can make me give away spoilers. Tianwen, huh? You said I could extract any truth. You said I could extract any truth from the world. Oh, so Tianwen was using the truth function to try to get Meatbun to reveal some future spoilers. Haha. Okay, so end of chapter 77. So to recap, Moran and Chuaning are staying at an inn while in the middle of investigating, and Moran comes over to Chuaning's room saying, "Shizun, can I please sleep in your room?" Chuaning's like, this is sus. Why? But then he finds out that they have a really noisy couple next door to Moran's room, and so Chuaning relents and's like, okay, well, I can't let my precious disciple have his ears be, defiled by the atrocious sounds from next door, so yes, you may sleep at the foot of my bed. Like a dog. And Moran, he starts to get in his feels a little bit. He starts to be a little, he starts to act a little coy with Chuaning, act a little, cutesy. He's like, "Shizun, please, can you please dry my hair? And like Chuaning, of course, cannot say no, so he ends up quote unquote begrudgingly drying Moran's hair. But you know that Chuaning also is enjoying it secretly because he gets to touch Moran. But Moran ends up getting a little bit emotional and starts to have some flashbacks about him from his previous life and how his Shizun scent, his high town blossom scent, always used to calm him down when he was in a bloodthirsty rage. And so he's really missing his Shizun. He's really missing the comfort and the closeness that they had in the past life. Yeah. And so he's reminiscing, and Chuaning is also taking this chance to kind of admire how handsome Moran has become as he continues to grow into a fine, dashing young man. So they're both just kind of in their head having impure thoughts, guys, impure. But yeah, they had a cute little moment in this chapter. So this chapter was really sweet, like cotton candy. Hopefully we continue to have cute moments like this and not a lot of knives, because Meatbun said there will be knives coming soon. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's read-along, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye!